Welcome to Reddit Tea Time. My husband, 32 male, and I, 29 female, were vacationing in Europe for 2 weeks. Coincidentally, one of my old college friends, Lizzie, 30 female, and her husband, 30 male, were also vacationing in Italy the same time that we were. They had a baby daughter that just recently turned 1. After we found out that both our families were going to be in the same area for a few days, I suggested that we meet up and spend the day together. They happily agreed. My husband and I chartered a small yacht to take us around Italy for 3 days, and we invited them to come with us for 2 of the 3 days we had the boat. They happily agreed. The first day went perfectly. We all had an amazing time eating, drinking, swimming, chatting, etc. We all hadn't seen each other in over a year, so there was a lot to talk about. On the first day, I wore a bikini, definitely on the skimpier side, and Lizzie wore a one-piece. On the second day is when the confrontation occurred. We had all just finished having breakfast together, and Lizzie asked for us to speak privately, so we went to a nearby area. She first started by telling me that after she gave birth to her daughter, she's been feeling horrible about her body and how she just feels incredibly ugly in her skin because of the weight gain and the stretch marks. Then she confessed that seeing me flaunting my body and being so thin made her feel really upset and uncomfortable, as well as envious. Lizzie also mentioned that she knew her husband had been looking at me, and that made her even more upset. I felt for her and made sure to reassure her that she was absolutely beautiful. She then asked if I could wear a one-piece for our second day on the water. I was a little taken aback by this blunt request. I told Lizzie that I didn't bring any one-pieces with me on vacation. She then immediately rolled her eyes. She said snappily, "Well, can't you go buy one right now?" I felt really awkward at this point because she was getting clearly agitated at me and teary. I was very uncomfortable because I wanted to say no, but I couldn't figure out what to say. So I just awkwardly said, and stuttered for a minute. This upset Lizzie even further, and she yelled, "Are you effing serious? You're being so selfish." Once she cursed at me, I said, "Lizzie, I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to do that. You can call me selfish all you want, but it's not my job to make you feel better about your insecurities." This set her off even more, and she began having a full-on sobbing meltdown while yelling that I ruined her entire vacation. After a few more minutes of back and forth, I just removed myself from the conversation, ran back to my husband, and told him we were leaving them. We didn't end up contacting them for the rest of our time in Italy. It's been 3 days since the incident, and now we're back in the States. In the past, Lizzie has been a toxic friend, so I think that plays a role as well. But I still feel weird about the whole thing. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. Her request was unreasonable. If her husband was eyeing you, she should have spoken to him about it. The rest of the world isn't responsible for her outlook. It sounds like you'll lose nothing by forgetting about this friendship. Sometimes people are fun to be around and you forget they have a toxic side. You have to guard yourself if you want to be around them, and remember, they can turn in a split second. OP replied, "I actually highly doubt her husband was even looking at me in any sexual way. She's always been one of those girls that irrationally assumes that her man is doing something he isn't because of her own insecurities." Not the bonehead. All she listed were issues that were hers: her self-worth, her husband's wandering eyes, her jealousy. She tried to make you responsible for her problems. You wearing a one-piece would not stop her self-doubt. You wearing a one-piece would not stop her husband staring. But you not wearing a one-piece makes her think she can blame you for all of her problems instead of dealing with them herself and recognizing her problems come from within, and probably from her husband. She'll pretend like everything bad comes from you. You're a convenient scapegoat. You offered them a good thing, and neither of them behaved well. Lizzie might be going through it, but that's no excuse to treat you badly. You don't lose anything by not talking to her. If you have mutual friends, you might want to start the "Can you believe Lizzie tried to blame me for her problems and blame me for her husband objectifying me" conversation before Lizzie convinces them all you're trying to steal her husband and called her ugly. Not the bonehead. You're simply not responsible for your friend's insecurities, as you mentioned to her. Wearing a bikini is not a statement about your friend's body. You're not insulting her with your choice of swimwear. Certainly not in this context, at least. He's not technically my stepson because his dad and I aren't married, but my boyfriend and I have been together for a long time, and his bio mom isn't in his life. To make a long story short, My father freaked out and completely cut me off when I started transitioning in my teens. I was very upset at him for a long time, but I've always wanted a relationship with him. When he reached out to me, I was especially happy to hear him apologize about specific things he said to me, so I want to clarify, I really want to make this work. It's part of why I invited him to his birthday. My father has a tattoo on his arm of a bound and gagged woman. I'm not a prude, but he wore a muscle shirt to the birthday party and it was fully visible. I've never seen him wear a muscle shirt since we reconnected. I didn't think he'd show it at all. My boyfriend and I had the same reaction to it. We both agreed it was totally inappropriate for a party for a 7-year-old. He brought a jean jacket, so I asked him if he could just keep it on. He said it was too hot for him to wear it inside, and he told me it's just artistic nudity. To me, it's not just a naked figure, which is fine, but it's sexual because she's bound and gagged. He said there's no sex act taking place and no visible genitalia, just bare breasts, and basically said he'll live. Then he made this joke saying maybe I would have turned out differently if he had this tattoo when I was growing up. It was definitely a joke, and I actually don't mind jokes about how non-masculine I am or how I'm not attracted to women because they're both true, and I can take a good joke at my expense. What annoyed me is that I was trying to express how I felt and he went into comedian mode. I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with him, so I told my boyfriend that, and my boyfriend approached him. This really bothered my father, and he said that if I wouldn't stick up for him, he'd leave. I told him that all he has to do is put on a jacket and it doesn't have to be a big deal. He left. My father hasn't responded to any of my attempts to talk with him since. I've been really second-guessing how I approach this. I really don't have a problem with artistic nudity. If it was the birth of Venus tattooed to him, I wouldn't care. It's the sexual part. My mom agreed that it was completely inappropriate, but I asked one of my friends who is into BDSM, and she said that kink isn't necessarily sexual, and my over-the-top response is prejudice against people who practice BDSM. She said that my boyfriend and I are definitely influenced by subconscious bias as a pretty vanilla couple, and she said she agreed with what my dad said about no genitalia or sex act occurring in the tattoo. What makes me feel the most like a bonehead is that I want him in my life. I've been telling him that, and now he's pulled away even more, and my actions are what led to that. It's really been weighing on me, and I'd appreciate any responses. Thank you. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. He made the choice to get that tattoo knowing it's not appropriate to show to children. He can wear a bandage over it. Not the bonehead. That definitely sounds like an insanely inappropriate tattoo to display openly at a 7-year-old's birthday. Also, it might be just a joke, but what your father said about turning out different was still a bonehead thing to say. I'm really sorry to say this, but your dad sounds like he might be kind of a crappy person. Also, your friend is full of crap. You're not being prejudiced against people who practice BDSM. That's like saying that if you don't want someone showing your child gay porn, you must be homophobic. OP replied, "It's difficult because I try not to be sensitive, and my mom loves to joke about all the stereotypically feminine things I did growing up. But she also never made me feel embarrassed or like she was ashamed of me for this growing up. When my father does it though, we do have this background of him genuinely being ashamed of me for not being the person he wanted me to be. So I honestly do feel a bit uncomfortable with them, like he's saying how he really feels but laughing about it after. It's hard because I do have some good memories with him and I try to hang on to those, but I feel like he just keeps letting me down. Thank you. Your friend is an idiot. It's not kink-shaming to say that a parent has the right to prohibit someone from displaying their animated bondage-themed nudity, no matter how artistic. I have 2 sons with 2 women, separated from both. The oldest is 10 and the youngest is almost 3. My youngest son has never had a proper haircut. His hair is fairly long and his mom refuses to cut it. It gets in his face, is curly so tangles easily, and in my opinion doesn't look good. I try to keep his hair tied up, but he doesn't like it much and takes it out. His mom is a bit of a hippie and is very pro boys can have long hair too. I have no issues with boys having long hair. My older son kept his hair shoulder length for a couple of years. Both myself and my younger son's mom agree about allowing our son to make his own choices when applicable. My older son is currently rocking a buzz cut, and I've been reshaving it at home every 2 to 4 weeks. I have both my sons with me the same 1 week on, 1 week off, so my youngest son has been around every time I shave his brother's hair. Around 3 months ago, while watching me shave his brother's hair, he wanted me to do his hair too. Over the next week, I asked him about getting his hair cut and he said he wanted to. I texted his mom and told her he wanted a haircut. She told me no, but that she would ask him when he was with her. She later texted me saying he told her he didn't want shorter hair. But again, the next time I was shaving his brother's hair, he wanted me to do his too. I texted his mom again and said I really think he does want his haircut and that as he's almost 3, he can have his first proper haircut. I suggested taking him to my friend's barbershop together and getting a decent chunk of hair off. She again denied me. I don't know if she thought I was lying because son was saying something different with her, or she was lying, or my son was just changing his mind. On Sunday, when I was buzzing brother's hair, he was again adamant about wanting his hair cut. I had honestly been so sick of dealing with his hair, and knowing that he wanted it cut made it more frustrating. I ended up taking him to my friend's barbershop that same day. I texted his mom before we left to give a heads up. I knew she would be mad, but at that point I didn't care. I showed him photos of other boys' haircuts on my phone and let him pick one he liked. He sat really well for his haircut and seemed super happy afterwards. He wanted to FaceTime his mom to show her. She was very shocked but masked her unhappiness, irritation for our son. After we hung up, she immediately texted me telling me she hated me and that I'm a bonehead and a bunch of other stuff. When I dropped son back with her on Monday, I could tell how angry she was. Other people have also told me this was a bonehead move, and I do feel bad that the haircut has saddened my ex. However, why is it any more her right to decide whether he gets a haircut because she's a mom and I'm a dad? If son didn't want a haircut, I'd be the bonehead. If son didn't care either way, you could argue I'm the bonehead. But when 2 out of 3 of the people that get a say in his hair wanted it cut, I'm not sure. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead, it's just hair. She'll get over it. If your son likes his hair long, he'll grow it long again. Let the boy choose. Not the bonehead. You are his parent too, and you followed his wishes. Her having an attachment to his hair is an issue she needs to deal with, as he'll dress and style himself in ways she won't like more and more as he grows. Not the bonehead. He had asked 3 times. It's not a permanent body change, meaning you didn't pierce his ears. It's just hair and it grows back. FYI, my 3-year-old changed his mind daily about how long he wanted his hair. Long like mommy, short so I won't brush it, short like daddy, once a mane like Simba, long, short because I let him watch a movie while I cut his hair. Started in COVID and I had no idea what I was doing. The chances she was lying are way smaller than him changing his mind depending on who he was with. A friend of mine that I've known for 9 years recently told me during a mutual friend's party that she has feelings for me, and then also said that seeing me with my girlfriend upsets her. She was quite drunk but remembered this when sober and messaged me to apologize to me the following day. My girlfriend was not at the party as she is abroad for a wedding. I did tell her what happened and she told me that she's no longer comfortable with the friendship. I've therefore cut contact with my friend, but she's been texting me nonstop, and I put her on mute. She's now messaging me on other platforms. Am I the bonehead for cutting her out to ensure that the incident doesn't affect my relationship? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. Respect is the foundation of a relationship. In my opinion, the best way to handle it is to be honest with your friend. Telling them you need to step away from the friendship for the sake of your girlfriend and relationship is honest and mature. Tell her you don't want her contacting you again. At least give her a short and sweet explanation. Not the bonehead. It'd be one thing if your girlfriend is not comfortable with the friend just because of her gender, but in this situation, she bluntly told you she has feelings for you. It changes all your friend's intentions towards you. It's good that you respected your girlfriend's feelings. Not the bonehead, but since you've been friends for 9 years, you probably should tell her why you don't want to continue the friendship. That would be more mature than the ghosting act, to be honest. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like these stories, please consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.